Hey everyone, it's been a while. Things have been very busy in my personal life, so I haven't had much of a chance to make new content. Today I wanted to walk you through a new series I'm trying out, light novel reviews. As some of you may know, or could have guessed, I'm a huge anime fan. I love the figures, the soundtracks, the games, and just about everything from the medium, as you can tell by my Instagram page, which I've linked in the description of this video. I also read a lot of light novels, as I find it easier than me catching up on manga every now and again. So I thought, why not review what I've been reading, as it helps tie into my fandom and gives you all new content. Plus I love discussing stuff like this. So to start off, I thought I'd outline the general structure of these reviews. Much like my video game reviews, I'll be looking at the core components that make up the novel, like the story and concept, its language and or readability, and the illustrations and cover art. Then I'll give a conclusion and rating. If this all goes well, I'll be reviewing follow-up novels too, and they'll most likely include spoilers for previous releases, so I hope everyone who reads stays up to date. To kick things off, I thought I'd go for something topical for the current season, which as of recording is The Rising of the Shield Hero. So today I'll be looking at Volume 1 of the light novel. Rising of the Shield Hero is an isekai or stuck in another world style of narrative. It's a pretty worn out trope at this point, and quite frankly I am getting tired of it. That's why, while I like the idea, I try to find the unique narratives within the genre. Stories like Overlord, No Game No Life, and Grimgar play with convention in new and interesting ways rather than just giving a standard narrative and setup. Shield Hero is another series that plays with the genre in cool ways, and it does that oddly enough by starting off almost exactly like you'd expect. Guy doesn't have much going on in his life. Guy picks up a book that details the exploits of the 4 legendary heroes. Guy is transported to a fantasy world with 3 others. Guy forms a party with a beautiful young girl. Girl betrays Guy. Guy is shunned and ostracized from society. Guy becomes the ultimate pessimist. Guy sets out on his journey, carefully placing his trust and hating the world. This narrative shift of pessimism and mistrust is what is so interesting. It starts out as a very standard story, but the background of our hero turned pessimist, Naofumi, helps give the genre much needed edge. Not only that, but it also plays on the RPG isekai trope in both humorous and interesting ways. Being the shield hero, Naofumi has insane defense stats and can change his shield into other forms based on the materials he's gathered. The light novel gives you updates of the status of his equipment by showing skill trees and experience gathered whenever the story needs it. Having Naofumi covered in low-level monsters slowly and ineffectively gnawing at him and using them as threats for others was a cool use of his ability and character. The fact that he, as well as the other heroes, can't remove their legendary item just adds to this. For everyone else it's fine, but for Naofumi it sucks, as a shielder is not a solo class, and as a result is forced to make a party in a world where everyone hates him. Furthermore, the 3 other heroes are interesting for the isekai genre too, as up till this point we've been pretty familiar with only one person or a small group from the same place being trapped in another world. Here each of the heroes hails from Japan, but they are all different versions of Japan. Each Japan also had a game similar to the world they had been transported into, except for Naofumi, who read a book that detailed certain events that match up with his current predicament. I thought it was a cool way to introduce isekai in a more unique way. Once the narrative really gets going, the first-person perspective of the novel starts to shine. We get to actually experience the inner workings of Naofumi's mind as he details his experiences and conversations. He can't trust anyone, and even as he makes deals with people, Naofumi still carries this mistrust. His meeting with Raphtalia is incredibly important, as Naofumi can actually trust a slave, as they cannot disobey his orders. It gives an interesting dynamic between the two as they form a bond from both of their unfortunate situations. While much of this book is building context of the world and characters that will be properly explored in future releases, it does what it needs to do and builds to a fairly satisfying climax as you see Naofumi really put his shield to good use. I really enjoyed the first volume of Shield Hero. Its language was straightforward and easy to understand, which means it's very easy to move through. This is vital in a light novel, especially when they're translated and are as thick as this series is. It doesn't get too caught up in explaining how certain things are like an RPG or how stats vary. It gives you what you need in that moment, then moves on. The first-person perspective is a plus, and like I mentioned, it gives good insight into the character of Naofumi. The downside to that is that you can't tell what others are thinking either, but then the series would lose its edge and its pacing if it were constantly referencing others' opinions and misunderstandings. The art for Shield Hero is quite nice. It paints the scene well and punctuates events. Naofumi's own progression is nicely done in the illustrations too. His expressions, his eyes, and his armour change over the course of the novel, and the illustrations show this quite well. While they can't show everything, key moments like when Raphtalia sits down for a meal, or the moment Naofumi is summoned to this new world, give enough to paint a picture for the reader. Overall, The Rising of the Shield Hero Volume 1 is an interesting read. What initially seems like a parody of the isekai genre and one long joke about a character that can't attack, is quickly replaced by a story of betrayal and survival within the framework of an isekai. It has its light moments and its fair share of jokes, but the core of the narrative is not what you'd expect from the first glimpse at that front cover. Because of that, I'd say The Rising of the Shield Hero is a great gateway into the world of light novels and a good read in its own right. I hope you enjoyed that video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and please let me know what you thought of this new style of review. What can I improve on, what worked well, and above all else, should I keep this series going? Until next time, bye!